He hates her. I hate him. I hate them. I hate you. I hate myself. At some point in time, you probably have muttered these words or said them out loud, more so when younger than older, but I will get into that. Hate has a cosmic purpose to the Pleiadians, and its ultimate purpose is to be eventually transformed into love through awareness of the self. Hate has the full potential energy to destroy things and people, and equals no growth on its own as an emotion. As people sit and hate one another, stewing in their own emotions of hate and resentment. This is the emotion that drives people to attack and harm one another in the world. We have seen examples of hate through war and horrible crimes against humanity that one group has done to another. Hate is seen fostering the hangings, torture, and burnings of people throughout history. Unaware and unfocused hate has no limits to the evil it can do in the world and multiverse. It has even been known to destroy planets and homes by one alien race to another. But what is hate really? Peel back all its layers, and it becomes an ambiguous fog, and sometimes it can turn into love over time with new perceptions and discovery. So what is hate on a cosmic level from the prime source of consciousness that we stem from? Its answer may make you never actually hate ever again. Hate is the product of unawareness and the inability to see oneness with another. It is the ultimate illusion maker and separator from wholeness that divides minds. It is the agent emotion in the matrix of a physical world that keeps the collective asleep. People hate what they don't understand or gives them a surface irritation on their ego and psyche. The proof of it is if both sides really peered into the souls of one another, learned about their insecurities and fears together, and discovered what happened in life to program their mind to act the way they did, they would not hate one another. Understanding leads to not hating a person or yourself. Carl Jung was right with this quote. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us onto an understanding of ourselves. At first, and right now at this moment, you may feel resistance to this information, and you may say, no, I really hate blank type of people or a person for this blank reason. Your mind is focused on the other person's outside actions instead of looking through them to the person and inside of your own self as well. We discover through a process of self-reflection and realization that we actually don't hate the person. We just are upset at their choices they are making and how they are acting. Can you blame someone asleep in their own awareness and consciousness of self-interest only? When you realize where people are in life because of their own past trauma or events, you start to let go of that hate inside, and it may even turn to love. This is the transformer part of it. It is love that ultimately comes in to take over, but it was hate that destroyed the old you to replace it with something new and much more awakened. What about terrorists or past crimes against humanity done out of hate on Earth, such as the lynchings of the KKK that specifically target groups of people out of hate, or shooting of certain places in public as clearly an act of anger and hate? It is all done out of ignorance and through the subjective perspective only. It is not an act of conscious reflection. It is an act of unconscious ignorance. This is why we regard those who demonstrate acts of hate in hateful ways towards others as being selfish. There is not a single moment of empathy or understanding flowing through the brain as a conscious being at that particular moment. They have no awareness of unity within them. Hate divides parts from the whole. When hate rules your life, it takes over the brain and divides you from the other, from the rest. You are alone and isolated far from your fellow beings until you awaken yourself out of hate and let it go. It is a toxic emotion that over time causes health problems and makes a person turn bitter and cold. Hate has the ability to be an inspiration to some groups to hold on to as fire within them, who are interested in tearing down old systems like religion or government in the world. I won't go too far into exposing these groups in the world, but the alchemy symbol for fire is an upwards pointing triangle. So while these groups believe hate is their justified fuel behind their movement, it is a dangerous element on its own to play with towards change. Fire destroys, so that the new can be rebuilt. But you must have water, earth, and air to nurture the growth after the ashes. Mature souls or older souls are those who ultimately have awakened out of hate and realize what it really is. They do not hate others. They simply understand them and can decide if they want someone in their life or not. It is not a matter of holding on to toxic feelings, but to acknowledge that there is something in that person you don't like. You examine it and ask yourself why, and if it comes back to a realization about yourself, then that was the growth needed. This is how mature souls deal with emotions of hate. They don't let it sit within them for too long without transformation. Often, children and those who play the role of the younger souls in the collective say they hate others a lot. When a child says, "I hate you, Mommy," it does not mean that child had a deep reflection about life and who you are as a mother in their existence. They are mad in the moment and want what they want at that time. You hurt them or angered them. You are not giving what they desire to them. And children are in the stages of being selfish before they expand outwards to connect to other minds as they grow into adults. As soon as the child gets what it wants or has a sudden realization within, then they say, "I love you, Mommy. I don't hate you." The nature of hate is not solid and permanent, but it is temporary and can be transformed into something new, with new perspectives opening up within you. It is energy, and all energy can be transformed. Anger is the fuel for hatred, and over time, when anger is not dealt with and repressed, it can turn into hatred. Parents need to be good to their children and never abuse them as a rule for progressive soul evolution, because over time, that pain will turn into resentment, then anger, and finally hatred. Hatred that might lash out at the whole collective. Hatred has a way of coming out in terrible ways when there is past pain that started its root. Hate does not come from a vacuum in space. It comes from a small seed of frustration, ignorance, anger, and pain. Find the core of this within you, and you will learn why you hate someone or something so much. Heal that. Give yourself that gift to let go of that emotion and only use it for a tool for your transformation temporarily. How to deal with someone you hate? You can try to reach out to those you hate with friendship or grace. But don't be surprised if they are not ready to see the light you want to share just because they are not there yet while you had your realization. On the other side, be prepared for the transformation within you to transform them too. This is the moment hate turns into friendship and love, as your understanding nature melts the walls between you and the other soul. You merge with them consciousness-wise and feel what they feel and see life from their perspective. A true friendship and unity is shared. You cannot hate a thing or person you truly understand and see from all angles as having parts of you within it too. What about self-hate? Self-hate is a form of unawareness towards the self. You don't recognize yourself as a divine being of consciousness with the ability to create in this world. You hate yourself because you cannot get in touch with the subconscious that is tapped into through the intuition. Self-hate is another form of sleep states of being, and you can only come out of it through a process of discovery and learning while living your life. The final step towards discovering self-love is a healing of the whole cosmos. When you start to love you for your ups and downs, flaws and assets you come into the world with, you truly heal the universe inside you, and your reality will change to start to experience more love around you and in your world. This is why it is imperative that all souls on earth rid themselves of hate through self-awareness and a process of healing, because it will birth the new earth full of love and understanding of one another. There we can have a new vision together and truly experience the unity in the material world that we share in the spirit or energetic one. Humanity can be and will continue to be a diverse world with so many unique perspectives, opinions, life stories, and soul journeys to look at and discover within one another. But a planetary species that has evolved into wiser and understanding beings will be able to express their diversity in a newfound way that leads to everyone's authentic joy and bliss and freedom. The following exercises will help you to transform your past or present hate into understanding and even love. This has worked for me as someone who doesn't hate others as I grew up into who I am today, and instead sees through them to their pain and their states of mind that they are currently in. With all my love, I pass down this wisdom to you and to reaffirm some thoughts you may have had about hate. I suggest writing your answers down in a journal so you can refer to them in the future, or just listen to them and think deeply and reflect. Number 1. It is good to acknowledge right now if there is any hate inside of you before we move on to transformation. You came to this lesson for a reason, and it may do you some good to cleanse and heal of this toxic emotion inside that is stopping you from feeling a sense of unity with all. So write down people or things you hate in the world. Make sure you say it out loud to really figure out and feel the anger within you to cause this hatred over time. Take a moment to write down everyone's name or a thing in the world you feel hatred towards. As scary as this exercise sounds, I promise you, you will feel so much better afterwards. Number 2, now take that list, and if it is a person, I want you to write 3 words next to their name: past, present, and future. I want you to not think about yourself, but to project your mind into the life of the person you hate. Write down their known past to you. For an example, if you know this person lost a father or grew up in a certain way, write it down. It is important for you to acknowledge their past here. Now do that for their present situation. Try to find out as much as you can about the person you hate right now. How are they living? Do you see them behind closed doors? Do you see them crying or in pain? Do you see them laughing with their loved ones? What makes them happy? What makes them sad? Did something happen to them that may have caused them to act out in a certain way that caused you to hate them? Write about their present. Now lastly, add the future. This is about your relationship to them, your connection to them. What do you see in the future with this person you hate? Write down what you would like to do with them, reflecting on their past and present situation known to you. Take it all into one. The past, the present, and the future are now merging into one. Answers can look like, leave them be, talk to them and make friends, apologize for things I said to them, or end the relationship and move on. You decide what your future looks like with this person. The goal would be not to lash out at them, but to take a look at what you want with this relationship and from it. There may be a chance that you realize while doing this that you don't know anything about the other person you hate. Acknowledge that, and then you can move on. If it is a thing you hate, look towards the mind who first started it in the world, and repeat the first steps to understand where this hateful idea came from, and the future idea would be what you would like to do about it to change it. Number 3, let's look at the evidence of love turning into hate, and hate turning into love over time. Write down any awareness you have of the transitions in your life from one energy to another. How did this transformation take place? What triggered it? Becoming aware of this process makes you understand it is a law of the universe and not a random event that cannot happen again. You always have the power to transform hate into love with love. And love is really a conglomerate of self-awareness, understanding, unity, friendship, compassion, empathy, selflessness, and creativity. Number 4. Next is one of the most difficult exercise I will probably ever give out, meant for the courageous souls ready for a new adventure, is to look at the parts of yourself you hate and see in another person. Heal self-hate, which is a process that can take some time, days to even years, depending on what level you are in touch with your own emotions. But if you feel you hate someone right now, then try to take a look at what it is about yourself that you hate and what they may be reflecting or you projecting onto another. What is it that you hate about yourself? How can you transform this to love and acceptance finally, to let that toxic emotion go inside of you? Be patient and give this to yourself. You deserve it as the life-giving universe itself. Number 5. I have an exercise for you to do. Go into nature with the goal to look for examples of hate. Do you see it anywhere at all in nature? Animals eat one another and they fight one another, but not out of hate, but out of a need to survive or territory established. Look at plants, flowers, and all parts of the elements. The water rushing around you, the birds in the sky, the sun shining down on you, or the moonlight. Do you see hate anywhere there? Reflect on this observation for a while, and then write a poem or have a little celebration ritual for yourself as you come to the realization that becoming one with nature and understanding its laws at the core is to let go of all hate within and to be the love and light giving person you may desire to be.